Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries from across the country, and joining me on this segment is Greg DeSalvo. He's with the Boss Group International. Greg, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mark.
Greg, tell us a little bit about your work, and specifically, who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping?
Our firm basically focuses on business brokerage. We do have an extra component of real estate that we also assist our clients with. We assist clients from the medical space to the hospitality space and anything in between for the most part. Manufacturing, cabinet designing, anything that you can think of, we have represented clients for a number of years with.
These folks that are selling, I mean, they've spent years perhaps growing their business, just thinking growth, growth, growth. Is this the first time a lot of folks are actually going through the sales process? So this is new to them. What kind of questions do they have for you?
A lot of our customers are asking, what is my company worth? And it's always a moving target for so many of our sellers. My background being in banking, I was a veteran banker for 25 years. And so I always reverse engineer, if you will, a client's expectation. And so we help derive values on a number of different things, but we also want to make sure that we can provide financing for the end buyer. And that's always the catch for so many folks. But I think the number one question we hear is my business one that I can sell?
Oh, great question. And linked to that, I've heard that one of the biggest myths or misconceptions out there is like a crazy valuation number for people think that their business is worth a lot more than it actually is. Do you hear that a lot? And what other kind of myths or misconceptions do you hear?
I do hear that a lot. And when a family is typically what we are working with, or a large group of individuals that have been working very hard for a number of years, it's easy to understand that they become very emotional about their business. Oftentimes, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that has gone into their success. And so their understanding of what the value is oftentimes much greater than what it really is. And we have to be very careful and sensitive to that emotion. And we oftentimes will provide statistical data on a national level. There's a handful of organizations out there that provide those types of multiples, if you will. And so we will provide that for our client along with a recast of valuation. And then we follow that up with what SBA will provide as far as financing. Oftentimes, if there's not any hard collateral or a collateral deficiency, we have to lean on SBA in order to make that purchase a reality. And so those items kind of culminate where we help our clients come to a value.
So we're experiencing a couple of different waves happening now. A lot of the baby boomers are now going into retirement and wanting to sell their businesses, but that other wave of the Great Resignation is in the headlines, and people wanting to leave corporate America, perhaps buy a business and do that for their next chapter. What have you seen in your area? Have you seen more buyers in the marketplace, and has that motivated sellers?
We, like a lot of other bigger cities, and I'm in Orlando, we have seen a large demographic that are looking to sell their business. And oftentimes they have children that have explored other interests. And so they don't want to take over mom and dad's business, or they just don't have an interest in doing so. And so, yes, we have a lot of buyers that are migrating from some of the colder climate and coming to Florida. We've had some of the largest growth I've seen in many decades here in the last just few years. We've all learned that it's time to take care of ourselves. And a lot of folks, including myself, I was a banker for 25 years and found that leaving the bank space was a good move for me. And my number one clients are banks. So banks are referring me their clients, and oftentimes asking me to do work on a consulting basis for the bank itself. So, and we're finding that a lot of other professionals are making a similar move.
When you start working with the sellers to sell their businesses, do you find any big common mistakes that they're making that could be avoided that could potentially sabotage the sale of their business? What kind of mistakes do you see?
It's the same mistakes that I see when I was a banker. The most common mistake and what prohibits probably the evaluation is how they, I'll delicately say, uh, provide their accounting. Oftentimes, business owners want to take advantage of code and tax code that provides them the largest amount of benefit for reducing their tax obligation. Unfortunately, as an end result of that, we have to trade and or sell that business based on its net owner benefit. And so while there are allowable add backs, the largest problem that we run into as brokers is the fact that maybe they've been too aggressive through the years and taking advantage of allowable tax code, but unfortunately, it comes back to haunt them in some cases.
They're either going to pay for it now or they're going to pay for it later, is what it sounds like.
Absolutely. I often tell them you can't cheat twice.
Greg, what inspired you to become a business intermediary? Like, how did you get in the field and what got you started?
Yeah, I grew up in a small family business. My parents were Italian immigrants. They came to this country and they started a business. And I grew up learning how that worked. And so, even when I was a business banker, I really enjoyed working with the common term mom and pops because I grew up in that space and I understood intimately how much hard work that would go into any of those businesses, and the customers only saw the end result and the finished product, but there was so much more that went into it, and so for that, I always wanted to try to serve that group.
Terrific. Before I ask you my last question, Greg, is there anything that I didn't think to ask that you feel is important to share in regards to selling a business or even buying a business in today's economy?
I would say if you are a business owner and you are looking to sell, I would find a very a well-seasoned broker that possibly has some banking experience. Unfortunately, we have varying levels of talent here in the Central Florida market. While everybody is a fine broker, sometimes they don't do the necessary homework to ensure that a business can, in fact, obtain financing. And so, something that I do that I feel like is incredibly important is I will take the tax returns and I will do a spread and a recast, and then I will present it directly to SBA. I will then share with them, I am wanting to bring this to market. Would you be in favor, as long as I had a qualified buyer, of approving this type of operation? And then once I have a yes or a no, and they coach me to a more appropriate multiple, at that point in time, I go back to the client and I have the blessing of a lender, and then we can go to market. I think that's in Central Florida, we probably have a large percentage of our opportunities that are failed, mostly because of financing.
Right on. Greg, for folks listening now that are considering selling and would really like to speak with you, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Right. As of what I would say has happened over the course of me becoming a business broker for the handful of years, so many of my business broker friends lean on me to help them with just the lending component. And so you can, clients reach out to me from across the country. I have procured loans for clients in all 50 states. And so they can reach me either through Boss Group, or they can call me directly on my cell phone. That's 407-760-4966, or I'm easily found through LinkedIn or any type of Google search.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Mark, thanks for having me.
That was Greg DeSalvo with the Boss Group International, and this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.